I'm Janice Fiamengo of the University of Ottawa. A message to men on university campuses. Feminism wants you. It wants you to think that it's your friend, but it's not. At first, it will come on really sweet. It'll tell you that patriarchy hurts men too, that gender roles under patriarchy are restrictive and damaging, and that feminism cares about men's issues. It offers you peace, a way out of the constant blame. You're not violent and hateful, so why should you be lumped in with those other guys who are violent and hateful?
You know what, though? Why would you pay money to fucking support a fucking rape apologist if you weren't fucking one?
I never heard him say anything that was
Well, it's fucking scum.
Feminism offers you redemption. Become a feminist and you won't be accused anymore. In essence, it offers you a get-out-of-masculinity free card. And it tells you that you don't have to give up anything to be a feminist. All you have to believe is what you already do, that women are as fully human as you are and deserve a fair shake in life. It's an offer you can't refuse. But feminism lies, because that's not all it really asks of you. It actually asks you to give up a lot. Fundamental rights and freedoms, perhaps most especially equality before the law and freedom of expression. But even more than that, it asks you to give up something immeasurably precious, your thinking and feeling self, your integrity, really your soul. Because it makes you lie to yourself and others. The prime example, you have to say that you have privilege, an unfair advantage just because you're male.
I am a white heterosexual male, so I personally feel that I enjoy a lot of the privilege that a lot of people in this room, in this country, in this world do not.
On a conscious and subconscious level that I have benefited from being a white male.
I'm white, I'm male, straight, I'm temporarily able-bodied, and I'm socially acceptable body size, so I just like to check my privilege first.
And that means that all the achievements of men in the past and present are not really legitimate, and you can't take pride in them. The amazing accomplishments in science and medicine, in engineering and astrophysics, in political philosophy and technology, in painting, music, and literature. All those things that male curiosity inspired, that male ingenuity created, that male dedication and brilliance made possible. You can't take pride in them because they weren't fairly earned. Similarly, all the sacrifices men have made for women and children, the blood, sweat, and tears demanded by every society throughout human history, male deaths in war, debilitating work, past and present, the acceptance of constant danger in police and firefighting positions, for example, male overrepresentation in the most degrading and poorly remunerated positions in our society, like garbage collection, for example. These are ignored or explained away, the fault of the patriarchy, which feminists will somehow make all better, and they can never be used to object to the primary article of faith of feminism, that men have privilege in this system. Even in cases where you can see that you obviously don't have privilege, in applying for positions that privilege women applicants, in family court where men lose custody of their children, in domestic abuse cases where the police always arrest the man even when he's the one being abused. Even with such cases, you still have to keep repeating the male privilege mantra. And repeating that mantra is a hazard to your mental and emotional health. If you come to believe it, it requires your shame as a man. It requires that your primary allegiance become anti-male. And if you don't fully believe it, but you repeat it anyway, for the good of women, you might think, or for that peace that feminism offers, well, that destroys you too, in a different way. British writer Theodore Dalrymple has a brilliant insight about the purpose of propaganda, whether communist or in this case feminist. The purpose of propaganda, he argues, is, quote, not to persuade or convince, nor to inform, but to humiliate. And therefore, the less it corresponds to reality, the better. When people are forced to remain silent, when they are being told the most obvious lies, or even worse, when they're forced to repeat the lies themselves, they lose their self-respect, their wholeness as human beings. And that is what feminism does to the men it claims to welcome into its ranks. A poignant case came across my desk a few months ago, news that yet another university student union, in this case the University of Durham, has denied the right of male students to form a campus club. Discussions by men at universities about their experiences as men are verboten all across the English-speaking world. The details of this case are all too familiar to those of us who have watched these fascistic student bodies deny club status to men's groups or men's centers. Recently here in Canada, we've had cases at the University of Toronto, at Ryerson University, at Simon Fraser University, an attempt narrowly defeated at Queen's University, just to name a few in the last 2 years. In this case, at Durham University in Durham, England, a young man named Adam Frost tried to organize a men's issues society after a friend of his committed suicide. He was trying to understand what happened, and in researching male suicide, he was horrified by the number of young men who are killing themselves and by the paucity of resources to help them. So he thought that the Durham Male Human Rights Society could advocate around issues that too often push men to take their own lives. I don't want to belabor the obvious here, but it is really breathtaking to try to wrap one's head around the craven indifference to male life that we see here on the part of the student union. Imagine a reverse case of a young woman stunned by the death of her female friend being told that a group to help other young women avoid suicide was not something the student union could endorse. In this case, Big Sister Student Union disallowed the club by saying that it could form, but only as a subsidiary branch of, get this, the Feminist Society. Well, the Feminist Society's own charter states that it's not interested in catering to the needs of men, but that was what the union decided would be appropriate for Adam Frost's club. Adam Frost didn't think that was what he wanted. Well, in addition to everything else that is poignant about this case, I was struck by Adam's clarification that he's not an enemy of feminism. He said, I'm not interested in waging ideological war against feminism and want to distance myself from those MRAs and misogynists who seem to spend a disproportionate amount of time bashing feminism. He just wants to do something for men's mental health. Well, Adam, you seem like a very nice and smart fellow, but on this one point you are naive and misinformed. You may be uninterested in waging ideological war against feminism, but the fact is that feminism is already waging ideological war against you. You don't get to choose. And the fact that you link men's rights activism with misogyny and want to distance yourself from both shows how deeply enthralled to feminist ideology you already are and how successfully it has invaded your mind. What you may discover in time is that MRAs who attack feminism are doing so not out of pointless churlishness, but because they've come to understand precisely what you don't want to admit, that in order to pursue men's human rights, it is necessary to oppose an ideology that blames and marginalizes men, an ideology that couldn't care less about male suicide and all the other issues you were denied the opportunity to address. Welcome to the vicious world of feminist-dominated campus politics. I wish Adam all the best and trust that he will learn that one of the first rules of effective advocacy is know your enemy.